and welcome to this video module on the investment banking resume. As we all know, a resume is a simple way of presenting background and skills when seeking a job. You're going to spend a lot of time preparing it, much like a cover letter, even more time on the resume. The bad news is it might only get about a 30-second glance, basically enough time to see the format, make sure that you understand how to present yourself, present business topics, and enough time to look maybe at your name, your school, and a few of the places where you've gained experience. The good news is that there's a simple, commonly accepted template to follow, and you're in the driver's seat. You create the resume, you make it tell a coherent story about why you're right for the job. We're going to take a look at a sample in a moment, but just want to let you know that the key components include basically your name and contact info at the top, schooling, and we'll get into some of the more specifics on the next slide, experience, and we're hoping to have 2 to 4 entries depending on their length. Basically, we're trying to fill out the page and make it look nice. And experience, keep in mind, could be work, it could be volunteer positions, it could be organizations that you're involved with. If you're still in school, it may be student assembly or a club. We're all going to have a summary sentence on each experience, and we're going to focus on action verbs. We're also going to have a section on skills and interests, basically maybe languages or certifications, activities of yours. Just a few tips to mention down bottom. Basically, we're not going to have an objective statement. Some people may tell you that that's something that should go on a resume. At least for an investment banking position, that is not the case. People know you're there to get your job in investment banking. You don't really need an objective statement. At the analyst associate level, where you're sending out a resume for a job, it is going to be a one-page document. You want decent margins, at least half an inch, font size of 10 points or higher, not too high so things look blocky. You want to show that you have a lot to say. And investment banking, attention to detail is key. Your resume must be error-free. Have somebody else read it for you. Take criticism constructively. Always bring copies to an interview, and be specific. And we'll talk about this on the template. Let's take a look. Here's just a basic resume template. Things can get moved around, but this is one I like to use. We'll start here at the top. You're going to have your name, front and center. I have contact info spread over one line because resumes I've prepared have been, I guess, fairly dense, but you can also have these stacked as 3 lines if you want to take up a little more room at the top. For someone who's currently a student, it's appropriate to have education as the top section. If you're currently working, you probably want to bump work experience up and move education down below work experience and above skills and interests. But let's just look at each section. So education, I like to put the years way on the far left. Some people would say you could move the school over to the left and move the year under the city and state. That's acceptable. But you want your school, the degree you've got. So for example, a BA in finance with a focus in something. You're going to want to have your GPA. And again, people may tell you that if it's below a certain level, you don't have it. I believe, and I think common wisdom on the street right now, is to have your GPA on there. If you don't have it, people are going to assume probably worse than it is for you. But there's ways to spin it. You could put in your major GPA. You could put in your year 2, 3, 4 GPA, saying maybe you had a rough time adjusting to college at first. Just, everything's got to be honest, but you're in the driver's seat. You're presenting it the way you want to present it. It's also appropriate, especially if you're still in school, to have relevant coursework, whether it's finance, economics, accounting, marketing. Maybe you took some classes through the local, through your university's business school. Next section down, in this case, is going to be work experience. And as I mentioned on the previous page, we want to have maybe 2 to 4 big chunks. So, in this case, I have 1, 2, 3, and then with each of them, 3 bullets. Again, that 2 to 4 rule seems most appropriate. I'm following the same format as I did with school. But again, if you want to move the years over, you can move the company out. It's just very important that things be consistent throughout. That does a couple things. That conveys your attention to detail, but it also makes it easier for that 30-second glance. Someone wants to say school, company, I know what you did, making it very, very easy to read. So here we've got a company, we've got a position. I like to put in italics a summary sentence about the company. If it's not a company that everyone in the world has heard of, you might want to just say, if you worked for a local marketing firm as a summer intern, say so and so is a marketing firm focused on consumer products in the Northeast, where I held a summer intern position. Just some kind of summary sentence to let people know the deal. And then we're going to move into our action verbs with specifics. So words like led, organized, analyzed, improved, completed, just things that kind of show an accomplishment rather than maybe being more passive or hazy. And wherever possible, we want to use specifics. So rather than saying increased sales, you could say increase sales by 60% through a blank sort of campaign. Just being really specific, showing that you generate results, but also that you know how to measure those results. And moving down to the final section, skills and interests, it's appropriate to put in languages, again, not the language in which you're applying for the job, technical skills, if you have any sort of programming experience, volunteer work, things like that, interests, and again, even down here, be as specific as you can, rather than saying interest in football, you might say what you do around, play in a league or organize the league, something like that. Okay, now banks, as we're gonna see in a few modules, will accept. Some of them are accepting online applications. So when possible, you probably want to submit a PDF to keep your formatting the way you've presented on your own screen. Some banks will tell you that they only accept in Word. That's going to be fine. Basically, you want this resume to pique somebody's interest, to get you an interview. And we're going to talk about interviews in future module.